Hello and welcome to another edition of Hockey at the Hall. This is your host, Anthony DiPaolo.
I'm Sean Clancy, and it's been nearly 3 weeks since our last installment of Hockey at the Hall, Anthony. We apologize for the delay, but there's been Thanksgiving and everything. I've been busy. Anthony's been busy. We're a couple of busy guys. But we're back.
Working hard at school, but yes, as you said, we're back.
We are back, and it's Tuesday. I didn't want to make you guys wait until Thursday. So we decided to do it a little bit early, as if 2 days really makes a difference after 20-something. But it's Tuesday. It's what month is it now? It's up to December now.
It is December.
It's December 3rd.
As the great Doc Emmerich would say, my goodness.
And on this December 3rd, guess what the national holiday is?
Oh, this is what I miss most about Hockey at the Hall. What day is it?
It's National Roof Over Your Head Day.
Oh.
Anthony, today is a day to appreciate the roof over your head and how lucky you are to have it. And, when you think about it, we got nice roofs, too. I mean, look here at Hockey at the Hall. It's a tiled roof with fluorescent lighting. Is that fluorescent lighting? Because I always hear that.
We got the fluorescent bulbs, but we definitely have the nice studio lights, and it gives you that nice radio or studio feel. So.
Not everybody has fluorescent lights over their head. Not everybody's that lucky, Anthony. I don't have fluorescent lights in my living room, do you?
No, I believe I do not.
No, you don't. And it's not just for fluorescent lights, people. Some people don't even have, tiled roofs. Some people don't have regular painted roofs or that popcorn effect. Some people have thatched roofs. Their roofs are made out of sticks and stones, Anthony. The Eskimos is made out of snow, and it's curved, so they don't know where the wall ends and the roof begins. So count your blessings, Anthony, that you got a roof. And it's not just about the roof over your head. It's about the walls to your sides and in front of you and behind you. It's about the ground that you're standing on. It's about everything, Anthony.
How ironic would it be if that day was on the day of one of the Winter Classics for the NHL?
What? Oh, because they don't have a roof.
Yeah, there you go. I see the light bulb going off right over your head.
See? So that's what we're celebrating today, everybody. Look up at your roof. No matter what color it is, it's probably white for most of you. What color is your roof?
It's also white.
It's white. Most people's roofs are white. Some people's roofs are green.
That's
you don't
racist.
Know.
It's a joke.
It's not racist.
It's a joke. All right, well, let's talk about some hockey now. The Devils have played quite a couple of games since our last podcast. And
10 to be exact.
Okay, if you want to bring up that number. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
But they've been playing somewhat better recently. They've won some, then they would lose a game. They win another couple. So overall, though, they're doing much better than that horrific start to the season where they're winless in almost 10 games.
Yeah, we've improved, but it's not hard to improve on garbage, Anthony.
That is right, but
we're going to jump all the way back now to our last podcast with Matthew. That was Thursday 14th. And you remember at the end of that one, we gave our predictions for the LA game.
Yes.
And I don't remember what any of the predictions were. I just remember that I predicted a low-scoring game. That's what it turned out to be. We got shut out 2-0 by yet another backup goalie. We got shut out. That happens way too often. But then we played much better the following night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was a 4-1 W. And then we began the Western road trip. Remember that? We opened up against the Ducks. You remember that great game against the Ducks?
Oh my goodness, that
quirky overtime goal.
The overtime goal where he
Zajac.
shot it off the pad, the leg pad of one of his teammates. Who was that shot it in his own net? I'm trying to remember who that was.
I don't remember who it was that shot into their own net, but I do remember it was Travis Zajac that kicked the puck on net in the first place, which was really innovative play. I mean, had it gone in, it wouldn't have counted, obviously. But I guess, maybe he was just counting on Hiller to make the save, leave the puck laying right in front of the goal mouth in the crease, and you know what? It worked. Good things happened.
Perfectly legal.
And then we got redemption against the Los Angeles Kings following night, yet another back-to-back. We played in L.A. there, 2-1 win, another low-scoring game against L.A., and the Devils go to the Shark Tank. It was a 2-1 loss against the Sharks. That was a tough one to swallow. And then what else is there? There's the Winnipeg game that we won, and then we lose in Carolina, and then we win against Carolina.
They beat Winnipeg?
Who, the Devils?
Yeah.
No, I said they lost to Winnipeg.
Oh, I thought you said they won. All right, no,
that was a 3-1 loss. You remember? Okay. Now, you were at that game, weren't you? So why don't you know?
No, I was not at the game against Winnipeg. The last game I was at. No. Okay, no, I remember why you think that now. Because I offered you to get those tickets. They're $25 at the mezzanine, but I was only able to get them at that price if I got at least 2, because that's sometimes how StubHub works. But you said no. I thought about it. I think I had something to do that night anyway. So
I did have. What were my plans that night?
I don't remember. But either way, no, because the last game I was at was against Nashville, where they won 5-0. Cam Jansen scoring again, which I just thought was unbelievable. But
Nashville. Now you're where? What?
oh no, I think that was actually before.
Now you're almost in October.
Yeah, no, that was before Mr. Laughlin was so kind enough to join us on that podcast. But yeah, I haven't been to a Devils game in a while, Sean. So we definitely
Neither have I.
have
We
to
got to
fix
get
that.
out there. So it's a 3-1 loss to Winnipeg, and then there was the 4-3 loss against Carolina,
Yes.
and then we
Right
got
before
redemption against
Thanksgiving.
Carolina, just like the Kings, 5-2 win. That was a big win. And then recently, there was the Buffalo game, a home win, 1-0 in overtime. Steve Bernier with
That's
that overtime goal. That was a beauty.
Top shelf.
And then recently, we just took the loss up in Montreal.
Another tough one.
Great game, though. Those games up in
Yeah.
Montreal are always great. I really look forward to those. Brodor's record is impeccable in Montreal. Unfortunately, he couldn't pull this one out. But you know what? We get redemption again, maybe, against this time the Canadians. They come in the Prudential Center tomorrow night. That game starts at 7 o'clock. Then following that is the Detroit Red Wings game at home. And then the night after that, Saturday night, will be in Madison Square Garden, looking to go 3-0 against the Rangers. And, you know, it's funny. No matter what the Devils do, as long as we beat the Rangers, everything seems to be okay.
Well, you know, I'd rather still be in the thick of the playoff race.
Well,
because
I'd rather still
while
be
the
in the
Devils
thick of the
have been
playoff race,
improving,
too.
the Rangers have been improving at a slightly better rate. I think they're in the playoff picture right now. However, they did come off that 5-2 loss against Winnipeg. And before we go any further, I have to say I was going to a concert yesterday at Webster Hall in the city. I got out at Penn Station. I saw the Ranger jerseys. I'm like, oh, that's right, the Rangers are playing Winnipeg tonight. So purely out of curiosity, I went into the Garden, went up to the box office, and I asked them, you know, what's the cheapest ticket you guys have? And the man said $82. $82, the cheapest ticket to the Garden.
Well, that's what you're going to get if you go to the box office.
I swear, I thought I was just gonna go out around the streets, you know, start looking for people selling extra tickets.
You should have done that. Or you know what you should do for Christmas? Ask for one of those fancy newfangled smartphones where you touch the screen and things happen. And you go on StubHub. You can't go on StubHub with your little flip phone that doesn't have, a keyboard or anything.
But you know what, though? I wasn't looking for tickets. I was just doing that out of curiosity because I went to Webster Hall, saw a lot of great heavy metal bands, and that was very fun. So I'm glad I went there rather than watching the Rangers get their ass kicked 5-2.
I don't know. I probably would have enjoyed that.
Well, yeah, I probably would have had to curb my enthusiasm because if they knew, you know, I would not have made out that arena alive.
Well, it's not like you have a Devil jersey anyway. When you go to Devil games, you don't wear Devils jerseys. Nobody would know.
I have a Devil shirt, but all right, whatever.
A
So-
jersey. I said a jersey, not a shirt.
Okay, that's right, not a jersey. But
A red jersey, too. You wear white ones, you're not as noticeable because every team has a white jersey. You got to get a red. What's on your Christmas list? Let's talk about Christmas. What's on your Christmas list?
not really that
I'll tell you
much.
what's on your Christmas list. Smartphone, but don't get an iPhone because they suck. Smartphone. You also need a Devils home jersey. I think I'm getting a Devils home jersey for Christmas. And I'm torn between Yager, Henrique, Schneider, and Jansen. Unfortunately, I don't own any of them. I would love to own all of them, but it's like $200 a jersey.
Get a
these days.
Lockdown jersey.
Oh my God. How's your boy Lockdownov doing?
You know what? He hasn't been. I don't think he's been up to the expectations in
He
terms
is-
of points.
That's an understatement. He has 2 goals and 3 assists. Third of the way into the
However,
season.
I will say this about him. I think that he does a lot of things that most people don't notice. He's a great two-way player, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen him come in the neutral zone, team breaking out towards the Devil's end, and he'll just pull a Pavel Datsyukian move where he'll just swoop in behind and just take the puck away, and he'll start to rush the other way. I think the one problem with him, I think anybody can tell you, is that he needs to be a little more selfish because he loves to pass. He's got some assists recently, and he just needs to shoot the puck more. He has a great shot. He might as well use it. He did score against Carolina that one time. It deflected in. So if he shoots the puck a little bit more and mixes up his game a little bit, the points will come. But right now, I think he's also doing great on the forecheck, good defensively. So I still like the way he's playing.
Well, there's no doubt he's a solid two-way player, but the production's got to be there. Anthony's, a third-line center? And, 2 goals, 3 assists, it's really not getting the job done.
I mean, it's still early. It's still early in the season, but I think the point production will come.
You want to talk about some other guys that aren't getting the job done? Michael Ryder, who's been slightly a disappointment so far offensively, he did chip in against Montreal. So hopefully that lights the spark, and hopefully he can get some sort of momentum going. And but the other guy, Damian Brunner. Now we got to talk about Damian Brunner.
Well, we discussed this right before the show. Damian Brunner is now paired up on a line with Michael Ryder and Laktianov. So we just talked about those three, and I actually think that those three paired up together will really make a good combination. I think they've shown some great chemistry, and working together, I think that they'll be able to get some points up on the board.
I just remembered. We got to jump back to the Winnipeg game, what I was going to say against Winnipeg now. You remember in the beginning of the season?
You said, oh, yes, I remember. You said Mark Scheifele was going to be the Rookie of the Year.
Scheifele.
We watched the Jets opening night. I believe it was against either Calgary or Edmonton. I want to say Edmonton.
I think it was Edmonton.
Scheifele
opens the scoring.
He scored a goal. You looked at me and he's like, you see that, Anthony? That's the Rookie of the Year right there. 24 games later, that's still the only goal he has scored that entire season. They brought it up in the preview against the Devils, and then I sent you a message on Facebook. I'm like, hey, Sean, your boy Mark Scheifele hasn't scored since opening night. And yes, what does he do? He scores against Brodeur. And it wasn't even a hard pass. That puck just went slowly across everybody. Nobody was able to pick it up, and I knew right away because I saw Scheifele streaking up that right side. I knew right in my head he's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to score. And then he beat Brodeur glove side. He scored.
Yeah, my predictions, and it's not just the Rookie of the Year. Most of my predictions are they're crashing and burning as we speak, Anthony. You figure, what else was there? Ottawa to win the President's Trophy. They're in 6th place out of 8 in their division.
Western dominance.
The West is on fire. Chicago Blackhawks are back to 1st in the National Hockey League.
I was talking to some fans, and they're saying that all the fans I was talking to, they put 5 Western teams up as the top 5 right now. They're just that good.
Oh, they're unbelievable. And it's, I guess what's going on is they're beating the Eastern Conference teams every time they play them, because it's not like there's any couple of teams in the West that are really tanking, that the better Western Conference teams are getting all their wins off these 1 or 2 teams, because even the last place team in the Central Division, the Dallas Stars, are 12-9-4. And then it's not as if Calgary's doing as bad as people predicted Calgary to do. Edmonton's not been a great team, but they're still hanging on. It's not like they're losing every single game. The only team that's really losing consistently right now is the Buffalo Sabres.
Now, before we go off onto a different topic, Western versus Eastern, Western being the dominant team, people have been saying or noticing how the Devils score more goals when Brodeur's in net. And a lot of people are trying to come up with answers. Why is it? Why is the team scoring more goals in front of Marty rather than Schneider? I looked at both of their schedules, and I noticed that Corey Schneider has a combined 8 losses, whether it's in regulation or overtime. And looking at those 8 losses, 5 of them were against Western teams, and pretty good ones too, including L.A. I think he did play one against San Jose, if I'm not mistaken. He played one against Winnipeg, even though Winnipeg might not be the best team, have always been very troublesome to the Devils. And the Devils just haven't been able to score against Western teams at all, really. So I think that's actually a bigger answer, because I've heard some fans trying to say that it's the puck handling of Brodeur that's the sole difference, which I think is total BS. But, that's what I have to say about the The whole Schneider versus Brodeur mystery.
The whole Brodeur versus Schneider thing is ridiculous. Anthony, I think it doesn't matter which goalie plays. If we lose the game, we lose the game. And it has nothing to do with which goalie was in net. It has everything to do with the fact that the Devils are not scoring enough goals.
Yeah,
It has everything to do
I agree completely.
with the fact that Damian Brunner is sitting on 4 goals in the entire season. And all 4 of those goals came in like the first week of the season, right? What's his drought up to? He's been a healthy scratch. Our offense isn't getting it done. If our offense is in the bottom 5 in terms of goal production in the league, and our goaltending is in the top 10 in terms of keeping the puck out of the net, you can't blame the goalies for these losses. You can't say, oh, if Brodeur was in net, we would have won, or if Schneider was in net, we would have won.
I say keep that Brunner, Lockdown and Ryder line together, and I think they're going to mesh together. I've seen some good chemistry. I think the offense is going to come together. They only scored 2 goals against Montreal, but I just still think give it some more time. They come back home at the Prudential Center. I think that, well, they're probably not going to be like the Blackhawks in terms of scoring 3.7 goals per game. I still think that they'll score a little bit more, at least to the point where they can start winning more of these hockey games.
If we can get to a point where we average 2.5 goals per game, Anthony, that would be good. But we're not even at that pace. We've been shut out, I think, more times than any team in the league. We've been shut out, 5, 6 times?
I think 5 times, and I think 4 of those under Corey Schneider.
So you can't blame the goaltending. Devils fans are spoiled. We have a goaltending tandem, Anthony. There's a lot of teams in the National Hockey League that would do anything to have one of the goalies that we have. We have 2 great goalies. Marty Brodeur is going to get starts no matter what because he deserves it, because he's a great goalie. Even if he's a little bit older, he's still playing the same way that he always did in his career. What are you making a face?
For those who cannot see, I had that face of disapproval. I mean, I won't deny it. Both goalies have been playing great. Devils do have one of the best tandems in the league. But Devils fans, again, have to realize that Marty is not the goaltender he once was. I still stand by my statement that Schneider needs to start more games because his goals against average is 3rd in the league, 1.75. His save percentage, 9.27. Brodeur's is only at 9.06. Brodeur lost his last 4 starts. Schneider won his last 3. So I still think they should split the time, but I think Schneider should start getting more of these games.
I'm not saying Schneider hasn't been better than Brodeur thus far. I'm just saying Brodeur hasn't been nearly as bad as people give him credit for. In fact, Brodeur has been better this season than he has some of his more recent seasons. I mean, obviously the 2012 season was a great season, but last year he didn't do so well. The year before 2012, he wasn't opening any eyes.
Yeah,
I think he's been playing well. He looks confident in net. He gave up a couple soft goals, especially in that Ottawa game earlier in the season, but he's been good since.
Here's my problem, though. The Devils give up the least amount of shots on goal in the entire league per game.
Right.
17 shots on goal. How can you give up 3 goals on 17 shots? 14 saves on 17 shots. That's not very good. That's well below an 89 save percentage.
Yeah, but if you watch the games, you see that the Devils limit the shots, but they don't limit the chances. You have to be an opportunistic team when you're playing against the Devils, and that's what the other teams do. When they have the goals.
I saw the goals, though, Sean. I saw them, and I think at least 2 of them he probably could have stopped.
I'm not just talking. What game are you talking about?
Well, you were referencing to the. I thought you were referencing to the Montreal game.
I'm referencing to the way the Devils have played for the last 20 years when Brodeur's been in net. I'm covering 20 years.
Okay,
Devils have always been a team that doesn't allow a lot of shots, but they don't limit the scoring opportunities because when the teams get the chance, they still get good scoring opportunities. So the percentage of scoring opportunities to shots on goal, it's I don't know what I'm saying.
The beginning of the season, I can agree with that. Even when they were struggling, the Devils still gave up very few shots. However, there were some breakdowns where even I would agree Marty would have no chance on the goals. However, well, at least for some of those games early on in that streak, and early on, Brodeur also was playing horribly, but you could also give him an excuse. He lost his father. A terrible, terrible loss for anybody. So at the beginning of the season, it was kind of understandable, but at the same time, there's still been a couple games like the one in Montreal where you're kind of thinking because, I mean, like you said it yourself, there are backup goalies like Bernier that stole a game for the Kings. Carey Price stole a game from the Devils because he faced 30 shots, he stopped 28 of them, and the Devils got some very good chances too. Why can't our goalies do that? Or why can't
Goalies
Brodeur
can do that. Brodeur can do it. He's perfectly capable. A 906 save percentage isn't terrible. I mean, it's not great when you compare it to Corey Schneider, who's got a 927, but 906 is still a save percentage that you should be winning these games, especially if the shots are as low as you've been saying, and he's still stopping more than 90-something% of them. Then we still should be winning these games, Anthony. I think Marty Brodeur deserves to start, unless he really starts tanking, unless he really starts to drop and the save percentage really starts going south. I think Brodeur deserves to start half the games for the Devils for the remainder of the season. Because, if the Devils are going to miss the playoffs, it's not going to be because of Brodeur. It's going to be because our offense is not going to score enough goals to get us into the playoffs. And then 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, you're going to be sitting there watching some butterfly goalie that plays the same way as every other goalie in the league, and you're going to be saying to yourself, man, I miss watching Brodeur play. I wish I paid attention to him and appreciated it more when he was playing. And this might very well be his last year in the league, so I would love to see Brodeur play as much as possible. And that's it. That's all I got to say about Brodeur, people.
All right. I guess it's fair enough. However, Brodeur has started 4 more games than Corey Schneider. Marty's played 16 games. Schneider's played 12.
Right.
So, if you're going to split it 50-50, then I think Schneider's due for a couple more games right now. And I believe that he is starting tomorrow against the Canadiens, you said.
Yes.
That is the next game. So I'm really hoping that Schneider will shut the door and, again, like Brodeur did against the Canadiens the other day, give the offense a chance to win it. And, again, I'll be looking for that Ryder, Brunner, Lockdown line. I'll be looking for them to maybe producing some more goals.
And it's going to be balanced. It's going to be very balanced, especially with the amount of home and homes that the Devils have been having so far this season.
And all the back-to-backs.
All the back-to-back games that the Devils are going to be
22,
playing.
the most of any team in the league this season.
So Brodeur and Schneider are both going to get their fair share of playing time. So, like I said, the goaltending's not going to be the problem if we don't play well. It's going to be the offense. So look for that line you mentioned to get it going. And then what's this other line? The Yager.
Yager, Zubris, and is it Eliash?
No, Zajac.
No, Zajac.
Those three have been dynamite recently.
Oh, my God. And the quotes that Yager has after each and every game, it's the biggest reason why I love reading the post-game wrap-ups on NHL.com. He's always egging on Dinas Zubris. He's like, I probably should have hit Zubris. I was afraid he was going to miss, though. Like stuff like that he'll say in the locker room.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He is, and I think that's one of the things that maybe the Devils overlooked when they signed him. And not only has he been our best point player right now, but he's also been a great presence in the locker room, and I like seeing that from him.
Quick injury update. Ryan Clough is practicing with the team again, but apparently he's not doing interviews. I'm not really sure why they're not allowed. When they go in the locker room after practices, they're not allowed to talk to Ryan Clough. Ryan Clough actually has a bodyguard in the locker room to prevent anybody from talking to him. I don't know if talking is something that could, bring about concussion-like symptoms, but they're not allowed to talk to him. But he is practicing. He's looking to get back soon. And who's the other one? Adam Henrique, who went down he got sandwiched a little bit behind the net in the last game. They're just calling it upper body, and he's day-to-day, really. He doesn't know if he's going to be good to go for the game tomorrow night against Montreal.
Are they going to put Matthias Tedenby back?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check up on that. But
then the entire defensive lineup's injured, too.
I'm pretty surprised that they haven't played Tedenby in a while because in the time that he was there, I thought he's been very, very impressive. He's been great on the forecheck. He has the speed, and I think he really works hard. And because previously I wasn't very impressed with him, But the more I've been keeping an eye on him this season, I kind of like what I'm seeing from him, and I hope that he might get some more time in the near future.
You're easily impressed, Anthony. You're very easily impressed.
It's because
Matthias
I try
Tenby
looking.
has 1 point in 12 games so far this year.
I mean,
Your boy Andrei Loktionov.
I don't know.
He's not been very good.
I try looking for things that most people don't look for. I mean, it's obviously the point production is huge, but at the same time, I also like to see things that could also help the team win. They might not be getting points, but it's not from a lack of effort.
You know who I've been impressed by
Who?
recently? Andy Green. You remember when Marek Zidlitsky had that big point lead among Devils defensemen later in the season? Andy Green's caught him. They both have 13 points now. They both have 3 goals and 10 assists.
Talk about flying under the radar.
Andy Green, he was on. He tied his career high point streak. That was 5 games in a row. It came to an end against Montreal Canadiens, but he had 5 points in a row, 5 games in a row that he had points. So Andy Green's been good. That's what I've been impressed by, and I've really been impressed by this Zubris, Yager, Zajac line too.
Yep.
Some of the passes they make and the offensive creativity the last few games has really impressed me, and it's unfortunate that they haven't. Well, they have been scoring a lot of goals, but they could be scoring a lot more.
Oh, and one more thing. Eliash was previously their third line mate with between Yager and Zubris,
Right.
but now with Zajac in there, they have a little bit more speed in there. So I think that's why I really like having Zajac in there, younger set of legs, so that way they have a little bit more speed to the way they do things, and I think that's another good reason why he's in there.
Big announcement. Well, not really big. An announcement coming out of Edmonton that the new arena is going to be ready for the 2015-2016 season, if I read that correctly.
Edmonton's getting a new arena?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's going to be called Rogers Arena.
Ooh.
And if
Sounds
that
nice.
name sounds familiar, it is. Because now there's Rogers Arena, Rogers Center, Rogers Place, the Vancouver Canucks play at Rogers something.
Well, isn't it from the company Rogers CBS? They now have a hockey deal which pretty much screwed over TSN because TSN lost the broadcasting rights to the NHL.
Yeah, well, Rogers Corporation, Communications, whatever they're called, just aside from all these arenas, they have some TV deal now that they signed that I guess affected TSN. I didn't really read too much into it, but I know it's going to affect...
When Bob McKenzie's job is on the line, you know things are not good.
I know it's going to affect Hockey Night in Canada, too. And now, guess who else's job's on the line? Don Cherry.
Oh boy, your idol.
I wouldn't say he's my idol, but I would say I like the guy.
It certainly reflects on your broadcasting here at Hockey at the Hall. Not in a bad way. I think that's actually a very good thing, Sean. But that's why I said your idol.
I read this little thing here on thespec.com, and I don't know if they take themselves seriously or where they find the writers. But there's one guy. His name is A. Herman, and he wrote that Rogers should dump the clown Don Cherry, and he goes on to complain about how Don Cherry promotes violence in the sport, which he doesn't. How he's a political conservative, militarism. I don't even know what this means. I'm not a political person, but all that he does in terms of military is support the guys and honor them. And then he goes on to say that he's a hypocritical, moralistic, preaching to children, which I don't see how that's a bad thing, that he, gives out tips and tries to help children and points out things that young hockey players
It's like Eddie Olczyk
should pick
for
up
all
on.
you young hockey players out there.
Exactly.
But
So this guy's an idiot.
You know what, Sean? Just, that guy's probably nobody. Don't worry about it. But
Well, there's a lot of people like him, too, that don't
Yeah.
like Don Cherry for whatever reasons that they have. You want to know why? It's because Don Cherry has an opinion. And there's too many sheepish people out there that are too scared to have an opinion. Don Cherry's 79 years old. He's been doing Coach's Corner for 30-something years now, I think.
I still
On
think
Hockey
Sam
Night in
Fisher is
Canada.
better. The Maven.
You can't compare the two just because they're both old.
Well, I guess so. But
Don Cherry is Canada, so they better keep him around. And he's entertaining, too. Sometimes I don't agree with everything he says. Sometimes he's a little bit over the top, but he's entertaining. He's fun to watch. He's better than the NBC guys like Mike Milbury. I
think
can't. I don't know about you.
I don't think it's that hard to be better than Mike
I
Milbury.
can't
but
stand Mike Milbury. You know what he proposed? I was watching some ridiculous NHL rivalry week or something. I'll get into that too. That's stupid. Mike Milbury, between periods, proposed that instead of because there's a problem with players that have the puck against the boards
Yeah.
and they turn towards the boards, leaving them vulnerable to a
Right.
hit. Mike Milbury proposed that there should be a hugging rule allowed. The players should hug each other into the boards rather than hitting each other into the boards. And he said it shouldn't be a penalty for holding. There's a difference between like holding and hugging or something, and that you should just gently hug the guy from behind and kind of ride him into the boards. So I find it very hard to take Mike Milbury seriously. I find it hard to take NBC seriously because this rivalry night, what's the latest installment of rivalry night? I think tomorrow they're having Detroit and Philadelphia. Detroit and Philadelphia. Since when are Detroit and Philadelphia rivals?
Hang on, hold the phone. Did you just say two teams, neither of which being Pittsburgh? Because I'll look at the NBC schedule, and every other game involves Pittsburgh. Now, I know that they want to make it attractive to the casual fans because Sidney Crosby is, quote-unquote, the greatest player in the world. But I think to some extent, they're overdoing it. And I just think this is downright pathetic.
It's pathetic that they try to force these rivalries that don't exist whatsoever. They really, what this rivalry week is they just pick two teams that they know have big...
Detroit, Philadelphia, Boston,
New York,
Pittsburgh, and Washington. Those are or Chicago. Those are the big 7 teams,
and they will be involved in every single rivalry night.
I mean, I'm not even
making.
I'm not even making this number up. I can guarantee you that those 7 teams that we just mentioned, throughout this season, probably next year too, if things are the same, they're gonna make up 90% of those NBC broadcasts. I can guarantee, or 80%. I can guarantee you it will be no lower than 80%. If anybody wants to fact check me on that, do the math, then feel free to prove me wrong. But I think that is a safe assumption to say, and I think NBC, as Don Cherry would say, need to smarten up.
These are not rivalries. I don't get it. Where is where's the Devils and the Rangers? Has that even been a rivalry night yet? I don't know. Has it? Where's Colorado and Detroit? Where's the California teams like Anaheim versus San Jose? Where is Florida versus Tampa Bay? You're never going to see Florida versus Tampa Bay. You want to know why? Because Florida sucks, and they don't have a big demographic. So you're never going to see the real rivalries. They just pick two teams that are either good teams, so people are interested in watching them, or two teams that have big fan bases, like Philadelphia. So, or that have stars on them, like Claude Giroux, who has 4 goals this year.
All right, well,
go figure. Now, one other quick thing I want to talk about, Anthony. You heard about the former players that are suing the National Hockey League now over concussions?
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is that it's just like the NFL. I haven't really read up too much about it. I mean, right now the league is doing what they can to improve player safety, which I think is very important. But other than that, I really don't know what to say. But
it's ridiculous. These players that are coming forth now saying that they've been suffering concussion-like ailments since they retired, and they're blaming the National Hockey League. You played in the National Hockey League, and you knew the risks. The technology wasn't available back in these days. They weren't aware that concussions were such a serious problem and that they could cause all these long-term effects. So now these players that are coming forth that are suing the National Hockey League, they're really only doing this, I'm assuming, because they've run out of their money that they made from playing in the National Hockey League, and now they're looking for a way to make more money off the league. And all it's really going to do, the only effect it's going to have, is that it's going to cause the NHL to be even stricter, more strict, more stricter on concussions, which is only going to cause more of this player safety nonsense, which is already completely over the top. And let me read you a quick list of the players that are complaining. Bradley Atkinen, Darian Banks, Kurt Bennett, Richard Dunn, Warren Holmes, James Stewart, Robert Mano, Morris, Titanic, Rick Vave. Have you ever heard of any of these players? I haven't.
No, well, they're probably third and fourth liner guys that.
Yeah, no wonder they had concussions.
are
They weren't
probably
good enough to
fighting.
score goals, so they fought their whole careers. So that's all I got to say about that, Anthony.
All right. Well, do you have anything to say about goaltenders? Because we have now, I think, gone above our normal length. So we're gonna go right on to Clancy's Crease. What do you have for the goaltending news?
Well, I was going to talk about the Brodeur Schneider controversy, which isn't much of a controversy.
How about
But-
Ilya Brizgalov at
Brizgalov.
Ilya Brizgalov in Edmonton?
He's well, isn't he hurt now?
Yes, I think he played one game. He got a shutout for Edmonton, and
That's right.
then he got hurt.
Which is unfortunate.
I think
But,
he might have gotten attacked by a bear. I think it's a conspiracy.
Yeah. I was thrilled to see that he got a shutout in his first game. Unfortunately, he's hurt now, but hopefully he can bounce back right quick and get right back to being a good goalie, which he is. He's a good goalie. And the other thing now, Alain Vigneault creating another goaltending controversy, no matter where he goes. Cam Talbot started 2 consecutive games. Henrik Lundqvist was he was a healthy bench, I guess you would say, for 2 consecutive games. So there's that. And
With
Cam
with the exception of the game against Winnipeg, Cam Talbot is
He's
looking
been
like
excellent.
a very good goaltender.
He's been very
so,
good.
well, you're saying that Brodeur and Schneider probably one of the best goaltending tandems in the NHL. I think that Cam Talbot will propel them right up there with Brodeur and Schneider.
He's good, but and you know, maybe this is creating competition for Lundqvist, who hasn't been his best this season. That's been apparent.
I mean, he's been playing much better than since giving up 9 goals against San Jose.
Yeah. Well, Henrik Lundqvist kind of is the New York Rangers. I mean, I don't get it. I don't think he's as great as everybody gives him credit for, but the team rallies around Henrik Lundqvist. He's the bona fide star of that team. He's the starting goalie. He should be getting the majority of the starts. This whole notion that they want to play Talbot in 30 games or whatever it is this year, I think is a little bit too much. I'm old school, Anthony. I think the starting goalie should be playing 70 games a season. You shaking your head?
I disagree. I think that, taking a look at the past couple of Stanley Cup winners, and most of the goaltenders have not played 70 games, usually be around the 60s. So I think that having a good backup is very important, because if you're going to have one goaltender play throughout the playoffs, then I think it's also good that if you could balance the schedule so they're not overworked in the regular season, that way, you know, when playoff time comes, then they're well rested. They're not overworked from a 70-game workload. So it's all about being adaptable to change, Sean.
Yeah,
So-
but this is the way it was.
Yeah, no, that's
Up
how,
until
that's how
the
it,
2000s.
That's how it was.
That's
But
how
that's not-
Brodeur
that's-
did it when he won his Stanley Cups.
But
He was
that's-
playing
that's not
75
how it
games
is.
a year.
That's not how it is anymore, Sean. You have to adapt to the changes.
What changes?
Well, the fact that goaltenders just don't play as many games like that and win championships. You need
Yeah, but
two
they
good
should.
goaltenders.
You do
to
I
win
agree.
games.
I agree. It's good to have. It's
And because
a
even though the
solid
Devils have
backup
been
is
getting beat
important.
by, Devils have been getting beat by backup goaltenders with their stand on their heads. These haven't been no-name backup goalies, like Bernier being the latest. You put him anywhere else, and for LA, Ben Scrivens.
Ben Scrivens.
Ben Scrivens. He was going to be the starter in Toronto. Had he stayed there any longer, he probably would have overtaken James Reimer. So even when they do face backup goalies, they're not goalies to sneeze at. You need two good goaltenders to get you through the season.
I agree. It's important to have a solid backup goalie. But if you have an excellent starting goalie, I see no reason why he shouldn't play 65 to 70 games.
Well, I guess that's where we disagree. But that was a nice long 40-minute podcast, and we
And
hope you
listen,
enjoyed
people,
that.
Go ahead.
We just hope you
Don't-
enjoyed
just
that
don't end it
Hockey
on
at
me,
the Hall
'cause you do that.
episode. I'm Anthony DePaulo, and
you see
Sean,
you're doing it right now.
You have one more point?
Shout out to my girlfriend, my lovely girlfriend Paige. Her birthday's coming up, and I will be in Atlantic City this weekend to celebrate her birthday. So anybody wants to come down to Atlantic City, I'm going to be there signing autographs. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that concludes Hockey at the Hall. This has been Anthony DiPaolo, joined by
Sean Clancy.
And be sure to tune in next week for our episode. We're back on track after that longer than expected break. So, see you next week, and we hope you enjoy the show.